All right. Hello and welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 518. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. With me today, I got Matt Lawrence. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Ryan.
And hello, Hera, my cat.
The water-drinking cat.
Yeah. I don't know if she got her tongue in that or not. I'll probably just keep drinking it, though. Oh, won't be playing with that now. All right. How's your week been, Matt?
It's been all right, yeah.
I heard Adriano came back from the dead.
He did.
And the first thing he wanted to do when he woke up, it wasn't a cheeseburger. It wasn't to see his family or loved ones. It was he wanted to be on the Day One Patch podcast.
That's right.
So how was last week?
It was good. Yeah. Good discussion. I covered in my gaming fun fact, I covered like a weird like PS2 / video like recording device called the PSX, not to be confused with codename PSX. We had like 3 or 4 stories. It was good.
Or the PSX, like the PlayStation Experience?
Correct. Not that either. Yeah. This was like a DVR on steroids.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to start off with another video game fun fact. Take it away.
Me? What?
Take it away.
Yeah, so this week I wanted to talk about ridiculous collector's editions. So a lot of us have heard of these likely, but the reason why this kind of came to be or was, I guess, influenced by or was on the top of my brain was that the crazy Dying Light collector's edition, which we'll get to near the end of the fun fact, allegedly was never purchased. So there's that whole thing. But I want to start back in, I believe it was 2013, with Saints Row number 4, the Super Dangerous Wad Wad Edition, otherwise known as the $1 Million Pack. And a lot of this just comes straight from the poster that I found online here, but this crazy collector's edition, special edition, whatever you want to call it, included the Commander-in-Chief edition of the game. It also included a Virgin Galactic space flight, a full-size replica dubstep gun, a hostage rescue experience. This is the one that I thought was really weird. A plastic surgery of your choice in real life.
Wow.
Which is, man.
Wow.
A capsule wardrobe, and then a couple of trips. So 7 nights at the top royal suite at Burj Al Arab. Hopefully I said that correctly. Dubai. There was also a week for 2 at the Jefferson Hotel in Washington, D.C., and first class flights for both of those trips. To them, anyway. It says first class flights to those places. I don't know about return trip. It didn't say that in the poster. There was also a spy training day, a Lamborghini Gallardo, I think it's Gallardo. The Toyota Prius, a new one with 1 year's insurance, and a year's of supercar membership.
Wow.
Now, there was only one of these available, and according to Ars Technica, in 2013, the total value at the time would have been $629,974.69, meaning that if you were to actually purchase this special collector's whatever edition, you'd be overpaying by 50%, because again, it's the $1 Million Pack because it was $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they ran some numbers here. So for example, the Lamborghini Gallardo was $250K. The Toyota Prius was about $32,650. The 1 year's auto insurance was $1,800. The supercar membership was $15,900. They did a national average for a lower body lift for the plastic surgery, which was $7,300. And I'm just kind of picking and choosing random bits here. But the Virgin Galactic space flight was $250,000. And so the luxury car, meaning the Lamborghini, as well as the Virgin Galactic space flight, were making up the majority of this thing, like literally $500,000, according to the numbers that were ran by Ars Technica at the time in August of 2013, if anyone wants any reference to that. But then I also covered the Dying Light My Apocalypse Collector's Edition. So this thing is a little more famous, or at least I remember it being a little more famous. It included a custom-built Dying Light zombie home by Tiger Log Cabins. Also included zombie avoidance parkour lessons with Ampisound. Ampisound is the team behind the Dying Light parkour POV video. It also included a trip to Techland, which is in Poland, to meet the dev team and to party with Steve, the zombie consultant. If you don't know who that is, I did a quick look up, and on YouTube, it's like a marketing thing where they quote unquote hired a zombie to join the team, and so it was like, hey, like Steve, you got to pick up the phone, and he's like kind of biting the phone and stuff, kind of act like a goofball kind of thing. You also get your face skinned onto your Night Hunter character model, some Dying Light branded night vision goggles, and adult diapers for the night portions of the game. You get 4 actual copies of Dying Light inside of signed Steelbox editions. You also get 2 Razer Tiamat headphones, which were, I believe, top of the line at the time. And you also get a human-sized volatile figurine to use as a deterrent on human raiders. This edition came to about 390,000, or more specifically 386,000. Yeah. So it was 386,000. A lot of places, just said it was a 390,000 because, it's a nice round number that you round up to. And plus taxes and God knows whatever fees you'd have to pay. Now, this thing, again, like I said, it didn't sell. So in an interview with Insider Gaming, Techland's PR manager, I'm going to ruin this name, but Paulina Ziedziak, I think, revealed that the expensive bundle actually never sold. Rather, it was all a genius marketing ploy. And here's a quote here from an email. It says, it was a PR stunt and got a lot of media attention for its wild and over-the-top nature.
Mm-hmm.
It was designed to generate buzz around the game's release. It did a great job of getting the game noticed, though, but nobody purchased it, thankfully, I guess. And I have a weird one here. Another edition that this is like an honorable mention for the fun fact, but it's weird that it's on the list. So when I first started doing research for this, I just kind of typed in like the craziest or the weirdest or whatever, kind of on Google, just trying to get my bearings to see what crazy editions have been out there. And this one showed up a couple of times, which I was kind of surprised. This is the Halo 3 Legendary Edition. Now, I'm just going to read you what they put on, because this is ridiculous. I think this is ridiculous. So there was a few different websites that had lists, of the craziest collector's editions. And Halo 3 Legendary Edition, is on a few of them. But this is IGN's take. So this is an article entitled "The Most Useless Collector's Editions Ever Made." And this was actually posted in the summer of 2024, July 21st. And I'm going to read this. So this is number 7 in the list. Before you get mad, let me say this is actually a pretty good collector's edition. In addition to the game, it had 2 discs with extra features about the Halo series, including a couple of episodes of Red vs. Blue. The most important part, however, was the Master Chief Mjolnir Mark IV helmet, which was almost big enough to wear, but somehow just not. Not that every collectible has to be wearable, but how dare you give me a Master Chief helmet that just almost fits? It could have been bigger. It could have been smaller. How dare you make every person who sees this thing try to put it on and go, oh, it won't fit. Also, not for nothing, when I left one writing job, I abandoned my Master Chief helmet on my desk. I just couldn't take it anymore. And when I came back to that job again years later for a second run, they tried to give it back to me like a cursed object. I said no. And I just thought this is a bit of like an extreme take. Like, it's not that serious. Like, it's not, I don't know, like to me, it's kind of cool to have like a Master Chief edition or Master Chief Legendary edition, like have the helmet there. Because I mean, I remember people who had this. I've seen this for sale at used game stores even recently. And it's just like, it's a cool little collector's item. Like, sure, it could have been wearable, it could have been this, it could have been that. But also, if you were to wear it, it would be like a novelty and a half. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to wear this thing while I play Halo.
Right.
So I just found it weird that this thing was, at least from our, not necessarily even friend group, but just people that we knew in high school, in and outside of our friend group. A lot of people bought this thing because that's when this game released for us, was when we were in high school. But yet it landed on a couple of these lists. Like, to me, it's like, if you're talking about an outrageous collector's edition, I mean, having a Master Chief helmet that houses the games is not that crazy.
Right.
The fit, like I kind of like attribute it to the fit thing. Like one of the other sites said it was only big enough to like fit a cat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I digress. It's just a weird mention that I wanted to mention. And that's it. That's the gaming fun fact for the week. Some weird and wonderful, ridiculous collector's editions.
You know what? As a guy who has like a big head, like I wear like double XL hats, and I often don't wear hats because I think it just makes my already big head seem too big. Most headwear that comes with collector's editions or whatever it is do not fit me. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember you had the was it Watch Dogs?
Oh, like his little, I forget what those are called.
It's like a not a balaclava, but like a face covering.
Yeah, he
And
pulls it up over his nose or whatever. Yeah,
and like I
I
mean
tore
I
it.
know that's on your lower face. It's not a hat, but you had to pull it over the top of your head.
Right.
And I remember you were like, I think we have a video on the channel of you, and you're just like, I'm suffocating in this thing, so I better take it off. That concludes this video.
Well, I think I it's not like I tore it, but I like broke whatever strands are in it that were holding it together. You know what I mean?
They couldn't afford that, just like that little extra higher quality material to allow it to like stretch a little further.
I got a clone trooper helmet out of a cereal box, and it came in two pieces, the front and the back, and then they Velcro together,
Okay.
right? And then you can put it over your head. My head fits in it, but my nose is pressed up against the visor, and it's just very uncomfortable.
Is it plastic? Like out of a cereal
Yeah.
box?
It was okay. I say that as a joke because people are like, how do you get a helmet out of a cereal box? But it was like two boxes of cereal, and then next to it was the two halves, folded in with each other on the other side, and it came in an overall larger box.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was this when you were a kid? Like, is this like a kid size helmet?
This is from the Attack of the Clones movie, which would have been like 2002.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like what, like 11 then, maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
Hot damn! Like
it's never fit my head.
I was gonna say, like, have you always had like hat like problems?
Yeah.
Damn.
I just can't wear hats.
You wear a hat golfing though.
Be.
I've seen you do it.
Yeah. But I have a problem, like, and I know there's other guys with like long hair, but like the hat, maybe it's my head being too big again. My hair with the hat pushes the hat off. It's never a tight seal on my head.
I'm actually with you on that. Like, even if my hair is like slightly too long or slightly longer than normal, my hat definitely gets pushed off. What I find you have to do is you have to find a hat where the material, like the round part, I guess, actually goes down almost to your ear. Because then you can like tighten it, and it's tightened like further down on your head. So like gravity helps too then.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, Matt.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
I hope people don't buy those crazy special editions. Don't do it.
I believe both of them are no longer available.
I know you said the one was like a marketing gimmick, but I bet a small part of them was hoping some like rich oligarch's like son or something would buy it. You know what I mean?
Well, what's kind of crazy is like with that Dying Light one, it comes with a custom built zombie proof house.
Yeah.
Like Christ, a Canadian real estate prices. I mean, fuck, I'll take a tiger log cabin zombie proof house for only $386, and then I get my four versions.
It was
of
a log
Light.
cabin.
It's by the company Tiger Log Cabins.
Okay.
So I'm not sure the materials of the home, but
I never thought about that though, because like I live in a log cabin. As a defensive mechanism, that's probably pretty good, right? Because you could definitely tear your way through, the siding and then the plywood that's on there, then the drywall. You know what I mean? A typical house you could probably get through pretty easily.
Like a brick house, I think you'd probably be hard. It'd probably be pretty difficult.
That's true too. Yeah. Although they don't really do full on brick homes anymore, right? Isn't it all veneers and stuff?
A lot of it's veneers, yeah, for sure. You know what's really bad about that too? Like, I mean, I realize this isn't HGTV, but that like fake. So like if the whole house is made of something else, like if it's the exterior is covered in like siding or whatever, but then like under the front windows or as an accent, they add fake stone. Man, does that look like fake stone? Like I hate it. It just looks awful.
We lucked out on the house we built down the road. It has like a veneer chimney, and it looks pretty good.
That was the one though. I think you told me, right, where it's like it's not fake rock, like it's like rocks.
It's real rock. It's it's real rock. Yeah, so it effectively is the real thing.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of crazy about the other stuff is that it almost looks like a backsplash to me sometimes. Because the rock kind of comes in on that like sort of like mesh, right? That mesh backing sometimes. Like it depends on the product you're using, obviously, but like some of it comes on that like mesh backing, which is like similar to what you might use on a backsplash.
Man, no, I'm not really like a prepper. I'm not someone who's like expecting the apocalypse to occur. But I almost wonder if I should just buy some plywood, enough to cover my windows. You know what I mean?
Should you?
I don't know. Just keep it in the basement. Won't really be hurting anyone.
I mean, it'd be useful for tornadoes.
Well, I mean, we're not really a tornado area, but we're getting more and more warnings every year.
I was told that we have like, I mean, I was just told this. I didn't do any research, but I was told that we have more tornadoes than Tornado Alley, or at least the one year we did.
But they got to be like non-destructive ones, right? More just like little eddies here and there.
I don't know that case because like, I mean, I don't know Tornado Alley either, but I know that this area does have like a lot of cities and stuff, but it also
Mhm.
has a lot of open land.
Yeah.
So like surface area wise, like what's the probability of these things forming in a populated area? Like, I don't know. But if the whole area was like metropolitan, like if it was a
Yeah.
big metropolis, that'd be different. Like any place it touches is going to destroy something. But if it destroys like 10 stalks of corn, no one's going to be like, this is an outrage.
Yeah. Well, if we learned anything from the Twisters movie, it's that when you got to go help a town, you just say, "Hey, go run this way. Come over here." That's all you got to do to help.
The weakest part of that movie, we got to go in there and help those people. And then you just run there and start screaming at people.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's your helping? Like you didn't bring a forklift or something? Like you didn't bring any equipment? Or you don't know of like specific like twister avoidance tools where you're going to help people hide? It's like, nah, we're just going to scream their names or scream, get the hell out of there.
Yeah. That's it.
Lame.
All right. Moving on to the top news for the week, Matt.
Top news.
Here's the Steam on Xbox evidence Microsoft didn't want you to see. The Verge. Microsoft revealed earlier this year that it's combining, quote, the best of Xbox and Windows together, end quote, for handhelds. And now the company is starting to drop the first hints at what that UI might look like. In a blog post about Xbox opening a billion doors, Microsoft briefly revealed a new Xbox UI that looks a lot more console-like across multiple devices and even appears to list Steam games. After briefly posting an image of a new Xbox UI across multiple devices, Microsoft quickly removed it once The Verge inquired about it. The image has a new Xbox UI that can be seen on a TV where you can clearly see the Steam label listed. The same UI with the Steam mention is also shown on the tablet and handheld version. While the image appears to be a mock-up with owned games listed twice, as well as action adventure titles, I don't think this is The Verge saying this. I don't think the Steam label here is necessarily a mistake. Sources familiar with Microsoft's plan tell me that the company is currently working on an Xbox update that will show every game you have installed on your PC. That includes games from Steam and the Epic Games Store. And they understand Microsoft will label these games accordingly. So kind of like GOG, but maybe Xbox will have more, what do you call it? Better luck with that. But anyway, Matt, what do you think? What do you think this means? What do you think they're doing? What's going on here?
Well, I was going to say, like, before you even said the word markup or mock-up, that this sounds like a mock-up. And so, like, to me, it was like they could have just been using the Steam logo as like a placeholder, where they could have even I mean, these images, because they're internal, because they're a mock-up, the person could have like not had the right icon yet, and they could have just used the Steam icon. They could have been trying to prove a point in a meeting where it was like, hey, you know, Steam has this, this, and this. Maybe we could do that too. And here's my example. See where I put the Steam logo there? We'd have wouldn't you prefer to have the Xbox logo? Like, you know, you kind of trying to prove a point. But yeah. I also see the other side where it's like, yeah, I mean, if you do update the Xbox app, as you said, meaning the Xbox launcher on PC, I mean, yeah, like it could have insights into those install folders, like the Steam apps folder, for example. And then it would just like list that because GOG tries to list everything, right? Like it tries to list like PS3 even and things like that, stuff that can't be installed in your computer. Whereas like this will just be like, hey, you know, we know that you installed Anno from Steam because Anno is in your Steam apps folder. And if you delete Anno, then it'll disappear from the Xbox folder or the Xbox app. Like that makes sense. I don't know about this though. Like I'm kind of like weirdly on the fence about this. And the reason why is because like we're talking about this in the context of an Xbox handheld. And you and I had like a brief discussion before the show, Ryan, about how like, well, like I was saying that if Xbox really wanted to, they could make their games and their launcher, unless there's some sort of limitation that I'm unaware of, work on the actual Steam Deck.
Right.
But then you mentioned, well, no, like they likely won't do that because Microsoft has Windows and they would want you to use Windows. But I got to thinking about that comment and I thought to myself, well, if that's the case, then why isn't this an Xbox then? Like if they care about you, sure. But like what I'm trying to say is like they know that people want a handheld and they know that people that have a handheld, at least in my mind, would likely have a subscription to Game Pass. So is like, is a handheld Xbox the move? Now, the reason why I say that is because if they enter in the market on PC, they're further burying the Xbox console. Like every
Right.
time they don't put something out on Xbox console, in my mind, it's another like shovel of dirt into the grave over top of the console.
Right.
Like I know that they say, oh, you can play anywhere and all this, but if you don't focus something, especially in a highly competitive market, I mean, I assume you're going to lose ground. So, like, are we going to see, like, okay, so this is a bit of a potential jump, but just with all the things that I've just said, if this Xbox handheld is actually just a Windows PC that's like a Steam Deck, but it's running Windows, so it's kind of like the ROG Ally. If this thing runs everything, if this handheld does everything, do you think that when they say the most powerful Xbox console ever, what they actually mean is that it's just a PC? Is this the first step in getting rid of Xbox and it just being Windows?
To be clear, the Xbox is running Windows. It's just an Xbox UI version of it, right?
Yeah, but it is highly customized. Like, I mean, just for like in layman's
It's a
speak,
dedicated
it's
system.
like, that's correct. Like, it's not Windows in the traditional. Like, nobody boots up their Xbox and like kind of says like, "Hey, this is running Windows 11."
You're not running Outlook on this thing.
Correct. Right. So it's like it's a really different system. Like, sure, in the background it's running Windows or whatever. Like, fine. But like, I'm kind of wondering whether we're done with the Xbox. Period.
I don't think so. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was rumored that the next Xbox, or potentially this current gen, was looking at adding a Steam app to the Xbox. Am I crazy? Do you remember that?
I do remember. I think we may have covered that story.
Right. And so I don't know if they're going to make it the next Xbox a quote unquote PC, but I think they're just going to make it more PC like by adding on other launchers in there.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Do you see them doing that on an Xbox console OS?
Yes.
Or do you see them doing it on a skinned I'm in big picture mode Windows 11?
Where you can still access Windows 11?
I don't know like how they would do it, but my thought process off the top of my head is that, and I'm not a developer, I'm not a game developer, but the Xbox OS is like really customized. Yes, we know about the whole Windows thing, but can it just run Steam? And can it accommodate a lot of the games that are specifically designed for PC?
Mm-hmm.
It's entirely possible that it might be able to, just like how Proton, which is like your x86 emulator or whatever, right, on a Steam Deck works pretty good. But it also has a lot of problems. There's a lot of games that have problems running on a Steam Deck, unless you run Windows on there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious now, why would you have two SKUs? Like, why would you have an Xbox OS and then you just like sell this one most powerful console ever thing, but it almost seems like your side business. And then you're like, here's also the Xbox handheld, but it's actually Windows. Like, to me, it's like, why wouldn't you have a unified platform at that point? Like, why would you put dev time into Xbox app PC? And then why would you put dev time into Xbox, the console? Like, this is this is likely going to be a mess for digital licensing. So maybe they'll do exactly what you said. And then I'm not throwing your idea out, but it's strange to me to be like, hey, the Xbox OS is a modified version of Windows down to the point where it's really accessible with a controller. The Xbox handheld is likely going to have like a controller attached like a Steam Deck. So wouldn't you want the best controller input?
Yeah. I just don't. It's a good question. You raise a good question. And I'm sure they're asking themselves that at Microsoft. I just don't. They put a lot of investment into the current Xbox OS, and by and large, the Xbox app on Windows is kind of an Xbox OS. It doesn't have the same interface or anything like that, but it's effectively that same thing, right? And so I think that is now the Xbox experience. That Game Pass, right? When you're on PC, you go to the Game Pass app, and you're basically playing an Xbox there. And then when you're on Xbox, you're running whatever Xbox Windows OS thing it is. And that's what it's there. But they're just going to add additional access to launchers. Now, maybe they have to change the structure a bit because like a Steam game has to run on an Xbox. I don't know what kind of work goes on there. But if it is actually a Windows thing running, maybe it's easier than I'm thinking. But I feel like they would still want the console itself not to just be a Steam box. They want it to be a console that acts more like a PC rather than a PC acting like a console.
I don't disagree with your final point, because we know that there's a lot of people that choose iPhone over Android, and a lot of people do choose Android over iPhone as well. But I think that a lot of people that use Android, one of the main sort of arguments for it is that it's customizable.
Hmm.
But then, I mean, just from a sample size of the people that we know, people don't really customize it much anymore. Like, it's not
Right.
really a thing anymore. So, like, what I'm trying to say is that tinkering with the device versus having just a nice smooth experience, I think people are going to go toward the more smooth experience. And if you do try to, let's just say hypothetically, the new Xbox is a dual boot machine. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't even think people are going to want a dual boot.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think that's the case either. But now here's the thing: is if getting an Xbox game, an Xbox console game, for example, to run on Windows 11 is relatively easy. And when I say that, I mean Windows 11 like desktop. I mean, if marrying Windows 11 as we know it and the Xbox OS as we know it is relatively easy, I mean, that's a potential. There's a potential there for us to have like an Xbox button. So like imagine having like a Steam Deck, but it's the Xbox console, and you just have a button on there that's instead of the Steam button, it's the Xbox button. And when
Hmm.
you click that, it doesn't even dual boot, but it just like takes a couple seconds to load, and then it goes into the controller interface. Maybe it even dumps the Windows UI. Maybe it
Right.
even gets rid of that stuff. And then you use this like, non-desktop OS, but then you can also go back to the desktop. We see that with the Steam Deck,
Hmm.
where you can go into the desktop mode to do certain things like install apps like via like kind of side loading or whatever through different like kind of hacky ways, get things up and running. And then you can go back, because usually there's like plugins that will bring those programs once they're successfully installed and configured, and will bring them into the Steam OS UI in order for you to quickly access from the controller friendly environment. I mean,
Right.
I don't see that being that crazy. Like if you maybe they would do something where on an Xbox console they wouldn't let you ever see the UI, the
Hmm.
Windows 11 UI, right? Maybe they would do that. But I don't know if they would if they were to ever allow Steam on there. Because if somebody's like, "Hey, I'm running the PC version, but it's without mods, or but it's without something that I can do quickly. Like I can't go into the INI file and quickly change a couple of settings, because like PC guys like to tinker or
Yeah.
fix if there's problems, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, why would they release something that's like, yeah, we play PC games, but kind of it's like a half step. This handheld is going to be this handheld, and then the subsequent Xbox console release is going to be freaking weird, I think.
I think. Well, I mean, Phil Spencer has kind of talked about a lot about this. How they believe that gaming, having access to gaming anywhere, is better for the industry as a whole. And I think they're trying to create a wave of trying to bring more gamers into the industry, and then they're going to ride that wave that they create. I think that's their plan. And so it's like they don't. I don't think they necessarily mind putting like Steam onto their console and having competition or whatever, because they just think that if they can get more people gaming, that just means they can sell you more of their first party titles, which they no longer care about locking down onto one system, because obviously they're publishing games on PlayStation, right? They're going to be publishing games on Switch and whatever else. That's why they bought Bethesda, and that's why they bought EA. That's why they got the game streaming stuff. They just cared about people using their content and not necessarily where they use that content. You could play their game on Steam, or you can play it on Game Pass, and you could do both on your Xbox console, or you can do it on your Steam Deck. They don't care where you do it. It's just that they want you playing an Xbox game,
Right.
right? That I think is their larger objective. And it might still take 10, 20 years to come to fruition.
Right. And they bought Activision Blizzard, not EA, just to be clear.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Yeah.
Um, well, like, okay, like if we bring this back to this like Steam on Xbox thing, if we just like bring it back to that, it's like if them listing Steam games and them listing Epic Game Store games and maybe other launchers, Ubisoft Connect, in the Xbox app for Windows, if they do that, that's not that big of a jump. Like, I don't see that as some big jump. Likely, when you click on a Steam game, it's going to have to load up the Steam launcher anyway. It's just sort of like your whole game library shows up there. So, like, it's very possible, like, the stuff that we're talking about is what we're talking about, like, too almost philosophical or way too early. Like, is this going to quite literally be, hey, there's an Xbox, handheld. They chose Windows or Xbox OS. Oh, by the way, on Windows, if you use the Xbox app launcher, we're going to show all your games. Like, is this, you know what I mean? Like, we're marrying all these kind of concepts together. And then we're also throwing in the Xbox console itself. But, like, is that not what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, behind the scenes. Is it really, like, are we going too far almost in a way where it's like, no, like, we're not doing all that. Like, this isn't that serious.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Because, like to me, it's like, if you don't care as much about your Xbox anymore, then going Windows with a special Xbox mode of some sort makes a lot of sense. I mean, realistically, we're seeing them play with, so we have the start button on PC on the left-hand side. And then we often have the start button again on the right-hand side. In some Copilot Plus PCs, if not all, we have a left-hand side is the start, but then the right-hand side is Copilot button. I mean, it's not out of the realm to have an Xbox button somewhere. And then when you click that, it just like boots right into something that's like a slimmed down version. It's like, big picture mode, kind of dumps the Windows UI and then saves the performance. Because, like, to me, it's like, are they really going to want to maintain those SKUs? They're big enough that they can. Like, I'm not going to be super surprised if it's exactly what you said, right? Like, if it is Xbox console comes out, it's Xbox OS. Xbox handheld comes out, it's Windows, and then Xbox, the desktop app, gets like a facelift for the handheld, but also for people using it on a traditional PC.
Yeah.
That's totally what could happen. They have enough resources to maintain that, create that, and ship that. But it's just, to me, it's like, if you're really advertising the power, like, oh, this is the most powerful console ever, this and that, it's sort of like, maybe it's because it's kind of like, maybe it's just because it's going to be a PC. But maybe that's what we're looking at here.
We're kind of splitting hairs here. Like, the current Xbox is a PC. It has a processor, has a graphics processor, has RAM, has storage. It is a PC. It's just running a different OS, and again, it's running Windows basically. So I think we're splitting hairs as to what's a PC and what's not.
Not to the layman, though.
Right.
The layman does not care about RAM and storage and all that. They literally go like, what games can this play? And like, how well does it play them? And that second question's optional.
Yeah.
But
like, I think that Xbox right now, they still care about hardware. It's not a priority anymore, though. I think they still want to try to compete with PlayStation.
Right.
But I also don't think they really care if Xbox the console goes belly up.
But so wouldn't that give evidence to my point? That's kind of what I'm arguing, is that they don't care if their hardware goes belly up. So they would take that gaming software expertise and put that into Windows, where they can put it onto an Xbox console, an Xbox handheld, and a traditional PC. But if you have two SKUs of the OS, meaning you have your desktop and your handheld, likely they'll run the same OS, right? Maybe some changes on the handheld, but that's all total philosophy, whatever, or not philosophy, speculation. But like, what about that Xbox? It's like, hey, we have this thing we don't really care about, and it has its own OS. It's like, why? We've mentioned it is Windows 11 in the end. It's Windows 11 on the back end. Maybe it is a lot easier to just have like a separate SKU than we think. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decide today we're going to put Steam on the Xbox. It ain't going to be just as simple as like allowing Steam to do that.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Either way, it's going to be exciting, I think. I think an Xbox handheld could be pretty cool. Might be the one I buy before a Steam Deck. If it does have a Steam client on it, I think I'd prefer that over a Steam Deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I would lean toward that even myself. Like, I have a Steam Deck now, but like, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to justify, like, if I go to upgrade my handheld at some point down the road, I would have difficulty choosing another Steam Deck. I would
Mhm.
likely go toward this.
Because like you theoretically can install Windows on the Steam Deck, right? They said that when they launched it.
Yeah, you can for sure.
Which means you could theoretically run Game Pass on it. And I guess there's some workarounds to run Game Pass on the Steam OS version, right? Is that right?
Well, you can you can download or sorry, you can Steam. There's official instructions on Microsoft.com or Microsoft's website, whatever, because they have multiple, where they like tell you like enter in these commands, do this and that, and then this will allow you to run Game Pass on the Steam Deck, but it's streaming
Mhm.
from the browser technically.
Okay.
But it like the command line prompts or the terminal prompts, whatever, are enabling the controls. And I think it was for like the Microsoft Edge browser on Linux, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. But I don't remember. It's been a number of months since I've looked at that.
Because the best of both worlds would be to have Steam and Game Pass on the same system. And if Xbox does that easily, where I don't have to do any kind of workaround, that would be the handheld for me.
Would you not consider a ROG Ally then?
Well, if they announced that one's going to be running the Xbox OS, right? Is that right?
The ROG Ally?
Am I crazy?
I thought they announced that they were looking at making it so that you could put the Steam OS on there.
Oh, that's right. Well, you know me. I like first party things, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, I just prefer having first party things. And so if Xbox has a handheld that's running an Xbox OS of some sort, whether that's a modified Windows 11 or the Xbox console OS in a handheld form, I'd prefer that.
What if it's just Windows 11?
I don't want that. That's not the experience I want, which is what the ROG Ally currently is, right?
Yeah, it's Windows. It's Windows on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that. That's it. It actually disgusts me.
But that's first party though.
Well, no, Microsoft doesn't make the ROG Ally.
No, but like in this hypothetical Xbox handheld, if it was just Windows 11 on there, that's first party.
No, but I want the device itself to be first party.
Wait, sorry?
I want the device itself, the hardware itself, to be first party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Xbox handheld, if they make it, but they don't use the Xbox UI, they don't use the Xbox OS. They use Windows 11.
I don't want that.
But it's first party. Like would that hold
Yeah,
any weight for you?
No, I don't want that experience. That sounds horrible.
Even if it has this alleged upgraded Xbox app. Like I'm saying, you boot into Windows, and then there's an Xbox button. You click that, it opens up that Xbox app, but it's in like a big picture mode. But if it's like, oh shoot, like this one game has a weird FOV, I have to go into the INI file. You like kind of like close or like push that Xbox UI aside. And then you go into Windows, you go in, you like edit the INI file, you change the FOV slider or whatever, FOV setting, and then now you're good to go. Something that you would not be able to do if it was completely console-like.
I don't want to ever see the like base Windows. I don't want to see the desktop. I don't want to see the taskbar. I don't want to see Windows.
I'm surprised at that, actually.
If I had a handheld device, I do not want to see Windows.
That's weird. That's weird to me. So you would choose a Steam Deck then, in that case?
Yeah, if that was my two options, a Steam Deck running Steam OS or an Xbox, either the ROG Ally or an Xbox handheld running Windows 11, I would choose the Steam Deck, 100%.
That's interesting because that's not first party.
Well, the Steam Deck is.
Not the games though. Like Valve barely makes anything now.
No, I don't care. I don't care about the games per se. I'm saying if you make a hardware device, I would prefer the software on it is made by the person who made the hardware.
Oh, okay.
That's what
so
I'm
like
saying.
Not the games necessarily, just the OS.
No. The game. Yeah, I don't care about the games. I clearly play non first party games on PlayStation and PC and whatever.
Right.
I'm just saying I prefer, as an Apple guy, I prefer the person who makes the hardware to also make the software. I just think that's a better experience in my opinion. You know what I'm
I
saying?
will say I was just thinking I will say the Steam OS is like really, really smooth. That was my review of it when I first got it, was that even though it was brand new, like they kind of hit it out of the park with the Steam Deck. Like it feels so smooth, and they even have like community made like controller layouts that people can vote up and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, this game doesn't control well on the Steam Deck. Let me go into the control thing. And like that's how I played like my first games on there, was like using the community made things. And like that's all like very smooth. I'm not going into files or anything. I'm literally clicking a controller icon, going through the process. Like it's pretty nice.
Right. So I hope that's what they do. I hope Microsoft comes out with a handheld that is running a Xbox app only, or if he has to run Windows 11, I don't ever want to see Windows 11.
I don't know what
Man,
I'd want, to be
there's
honest.
this there's this big push too from a lot of like tech reviewers and YouTubers and stuff who want Mac OS on an iPad, and I'm like, please, for the love of God, no. I don't I don't want a desktop OS on a mobile device. They're different form factors. Trying to cram this desktop OS that's been refined for desktops over 30 years. You're trying to cram it onto a mobile device. It's like, stop it. Jesus.
Well, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to accomplish like better multitasking or better file management? Because file managing is better on a desktop.
File, yes, I think that is the biggest thing. Is file management is a pain in the ass on iPad OS and iOS.
It's pretty bad, actually, to be honest.
It's like you don't know where stuff's going. You don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's rough. But I think that can be solved somehow without having to run Mac OS. I think they also want access to more pro level applications
Right. Okay.
because right now it's like those companies have to make iPad versions of their apps. But if it ran Mac OS, it would just you'd be able to run whatever you wanted, right?
Right. Right.
But all right, that's it. Moving on, Matt.
Well, actually, I was gonna ask you a question. What is that? What is that thing called? It's called the Files app on the iPad, right?
Yeah,
Like that thing. That thing like came out like not. I mean, it's been a while now, but not like that long ago. Like they could do like a 2.0 of that.
I mean it's always getting updated with every version and stuff. Adding new features. It's a lot better than it used to be. A lot of it is having to use it, right? If you don't use it, it's going to be kind of confusing. But once you start using it, like even for work, like I'll be on my lunch break or something, and someone will be like, "Oh, I need this poster you made, Ryan." And I'll go to Canva, and I'll download a PDF, and it saves to the Files app, and then I share it from there or whatever. So you just have to use it. You have to retrain your mind, right? It doesn't run and operate like a desktop file management system. And so you have to just get used to how the mobile version works.
I mean, you could argue that that's not good though.
No, but it's a different OS and it's a different device. To come at it and think that it should work like my desktop does is also kind of foolish.
I mean, yes and no. Like, there's certain to be some things that are going to be weird. Like clicking and dragging with your finger isn't the greatest. I find it feels really strange sometimes.
Mhm.
I think, but like, there's going to be some stuff where it's like the desktop has mastered this. Maybe we should be doing this, but with like better buttons for touch. So like invoking like a properties menu easier and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's definitely room for improvement, and everything's gonna evolve over time. So slow baby steps is what's happening though.
But that's what I mean. Like a big relaunch of that thing. Give me a big version 2, a big push to say like, hey, look how good this is now.
It would be nice, yeah, for sure. Alrighty, moving on to story 2. More Microsoft. Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer says Xbox fans will see more movie and TV show adaptations despite the failure of Halo. This is from IGN. Spencer spoke to Variety ahead of the launch of a Minecraft movie, which stars Jack Black. Big things are expected of it, and if it does well, it could spawn sequels. It's the latest Microsoft video game to get either a movie or TV show, and follows the phenomenally successful Fallout Prime video series. But the TV adaptation of Microsoft's flagship Xbox game, Halo, failed, suffering a cancellation after 2 big budget seasons that were poorly received. Microsoft has learned from Halo, Spencer told Variety. He said, quote, "We're learning and growing through this process, which is giving us more confidence that we should do more. We learned from doing Halo, we learned from doing Fallout, so all of these build on themselves. And obviously, we'll have a couple that miss, but what I'd say to the Xbox community that likes this work is you're going to see more because we're gaining confidence and we're learning through this." Matt, this is kind of perfect timing because you are just right now watching through the Halo series. So what's your take on this?
I mean, I don't know if you want to give me. I don't know if I want you want me to give you a review on Halo currently.
Well, I've heard your opinions on Halo.
Not great. Yeah, let's just say that. But I will say that my comments on it not being great are not based upon the production level. So I think with that, it's like the writing needs to find a happy medium between the two mediums, if you will, where it has to be like, hey, this is based upon the games. This is what the gamers want to see. but we have to remember this is not a video game. This is a TV show or a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Halo goes in the direction of they nail a fair bit of the look. I mean, there's literally an old Suburban in the back in one of the scenes, which like you could just tell is an old Suburban. So it's like, what? It's a little immersion breaking. But the Spartans look like Spartans. The UNSC stuff looks like UNSC stuff. The Pelicans look like Pelicans. I mean, they nailed that.
It's definitely a big budget.
It's definitely big budget. And I think that we're past the days of it necessarily looking goofy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Fallout show, which I know is not related to this, but the Fallout show like proves that, where you don't have to be a perfect one-to-one representation of the game even to be good. Like you just have to look good and be like heavily influenced by the game, right?
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff like Madrigal, for example, is one of the planets in Halo, and that doesn't look like any Halo planet I've ever seen, to be honest. But like sincerely, the writing is what's holding it back. So, I mean, I don't know how good this Minecraft movie is going to be. Like, it's kind of a weird thing to adapt, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I feel like Fallout, which I mean, Microsoft also owns, I feel like Fallout is a great step in that direction. Now, I will say something about the Halo show, though. And this is going to go for other series as well. I was talking to you, Ryan, and I said that I was just looking through some Reddit threads as I'd watched the first few episodes and was just kind of shaking my head at what was Microsoft, 343, whomever, like what were they thinking when they made this show? And one person said, you know, I'm looking forward to it, and I wish they would do a season 3 because they were just about to get to Combat Evolved, which is the first Halo.
Mm.
And if you pay attention to Halo as we've played it, Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., Master Chief is a little bit of a weird Spartan. Like he's different, right? He's supposed to be like special. He's the Master Chief. There's no other Master Chief.
Mm-hmm.
And so it redeems a little bit of the weird characteristics of Master Chief in the show because I'm like, oh, hang on. This is weird to me. And it's weird to me because him as a character kind of has to be through an eccentric situation for a Spartan in order to become an eccentric Spartan in the games that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the show, that's my biggest gripe is that, I mean, Master Chief's taking his helmet off. He's taking his ass out. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's fucking Master Cheeks. It's ridiculous to me. Like, we got people like, you know, doing crazy, or rather not people. We got the UNSC doing crazy experiments, doing a bunch of stuff. They're basically villains of the show. And it's like, hang on, I've been fighting for the UNSC, you know, for all these years in the game. And then you just come out and you tell me, like the UNSC is evil. And they're like, it's like, yeah, hang on. We know that they've done some effed up experiments. We know they've done some effed up things, as all like large empires do, you know, for right or for wrong, whatever. We, the player, are aware of that, but we still fight for the UNSC. There's never been a point where Master Chief's like, fuck the UNSC, I'm joining the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That hasn't happened in the show. And so I think that, or it hasn't happened in the games, excuse me. And so I think that for future shows, maybe it's too restrictive to take everything from a game and put it in the show. So like, for example, the Fallout show is realistically like an adaptation of the game. There's random encounters, there's Pit Boys, there's vaults, right? We're not watching, you know, Amazon Prime's Vault Tech show, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Vault Tech, the show where the Great War hasn't happened. It's 50 years before, and Vault Tech's just getting started, and they're trying to build vaults. And, you know, we're not watching the gritty political drama that is, you know, Vault Tech trying to get vaults made and trying to get influence in the government and all this other stuff. However, that show doesn't sound bad.
Right.
So my point is, like, all this to say that with Halo, it's like, I don't like that it's so eccentric, but I acknowledge that the writers were probably like, let's do Chief in a different light before he became the Spartan that we know. And I don't want to like restrict writers by saying that I'll only like things that are exactly like the game.
Yeah.
Because like writers are going to think of things like, hey, maybe we could do a Vault Tech show. And that's different than the game. Like, for sure. Yeah. What do you think, Ryan? Like, what's your thoughts on all this?
I mean, there's a time and place for everything, and I mean, maybe it's just the gamble that creators take, right? There's some times when you want your expectations to be um bucked, I guess would be the word. Like you buck someone's expectations, right? There's sometimes when you want a show to do that. And there are other times when you just want to be fed what you expect. And I think that's very difficult to figure out when that's needed. Something like John Wick is a very satisfying film because he does what you want. You know, his wife died, and then his I mean, spoiler alert, his dog is killed, and his car is smashed up, or his car is stolen, right? And it immediately makes you want him to just go kill everybody that did this to him, right? And that's what he does. That's what the movie gives you, and it's very satisfying, right? But then there are other times when you want to watch a movie that maybe doesn't necessarily follow the path you were expecting. And I think with Halo, this being like the first, I know they had other TV shows or whatever, whatever the heck those were. I'm not even sure what. Remember, the Spielberg was involved or something, and
Well, they have an animated like the training program of on Reach for the Spartans, I think.
right, yeah. But this being the first live action, big budget, big marketing Halo thing, I think they should have given the fans what they wanted, which was an established Master Chief kicking ass, being unstoppable, you know, doing ridiculous things that are impossible for any normal person to do. Do you know what I mean? Saying goofy one-liners. That's what the show should have been.
You know,
And if
when
you
you
want, if sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, you know, when you say that, what resonates for me is the first scene. The first scene's pretty good.
Right. So I think what they could have done if they wanted to tell this prequel story, maybe the first season of a TV show was not the place to do that. Right. Maybe you could have done it in the third season or something. That would have been kind of cool. You jump back a couple of years to see how Master Chief got like this or whatever. Right. But to be the first outing is kind of crazy to me.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that it would have been really refreshing to see. I mean, even something like, you know how in Fallout there's like the current day, which is like the future to us,
Hmm.
and then well, I guess it's all future to us, but like there's the pre-war and the post-war eras, and you were seeing those scenes play out. It's like
Right.
that would have been cool in the third season of Halo, where it's like something makes Chief reminisce about Halsey or something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he starts questioning his past or whatever, and then we start seeing those scenes.
Yeah. And I also think there's probably a part of it too where it's like I'm sure a lot of the more bro gamers are Halo fans. Not always, right? But probably more in that vein. And they probably don't want to see this more emotional Master Chief. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree. Yeah, like I think like there's definitely a lot of like, I don't know what you want to call them, bros and nerds. I don't know what the heck you want to call them, but like there's like people that are more into gaming, and then there's some people that are more into other stuff, but they like will game sometimes.
Yeah.
And so like Halo appeals to everybody, like the casual. I guess the better way to say it is like the casual and the hardcore gamer, I guess.
Right.
For lack of a better like label, I suppose. But I think you're right. Like this is like appealing to like the people that are like into the backstory of Halo, because I think there's Halo novels,
Oh yeah. And
you know,
people
there's
love
Halo
those.
comics and stuff, and so it's like people who like this may be super into that stuff. Whereas
Mhm.
me, like we mentioned the first scene. I mean, the first scene, I mean, I'll just spoil it, is like these people are under attack by the Covenant. They've never seen the Covenant before. They thought it was UNSC propaganda.
Mhm.
And then they're in this like hope, like it's just hopeless. Like they're trying to kill the Covenant. Their bullets are not going through their shields. It's just hopeless. And all of a sudden UNSC shows up, 5 Spartans drop out and just fucking kill the Covenant. Like just the
Yeah.
Covenant just dies. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, these guys are serious. Like, you know, Master Chief's there too. And it's like, yeah, these guys are like coming to save the day. And when I saw that, I was like, man, this show's not too bad. Like, it's all right. And
Mhm.
then it started getting dumb.
Yeah. As soon as he takes his helmet off. And not that that's an issue, but it's like
I think it is.
I think the Mandalorian showed that you don't need to take your helmet off to tell a compelling story with the protagonist's face covered the entire time. And you can
Right.
still have emotion and like the scene around the character should tell us what the masked character is feeling. We don't need to see his face emoting to know what he's feeling. You know what I mean? And so I think it's kind of funny that like these shows kind of came out somewhat around the same time, or at least like Halo came out like just after the Mandalorian, and the
Right.
Mandalorian proved you could have that character masked for like 95% of that show. You know,
I get the impression, like I haven't finished watching this thing at all, but because there's 2 seasons, I'm only partway through the first, but I get the impression that they were maybe aiming for when they go into Combat Evolved, there's a reason why Master Chief keeps his helmet on.
right?
I feel like that's what they were going to do. It's going to be like he's so emotionally distraught by something, or something happens
He just
where
hides behind his helmet.
he's like always behind his helmet. He's like, or he gets reprogrammed, or who knows,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, maybe they had plans. This is a problem with us not seeing the full story, but just as it stands right now, yeah, both the season were pretty bad.
Let me ask you a question, Ryan. How did you like? And this is going to be major spoilers now for the Halo show. I'm just going to let everybody know that. How did you like the portrayal of Cortana?
Oh God, I barely remember. I don't remember having an issue though.
Well, I'll just as a quick refresher. She's not supposed to be like an AI. So like we know her from the game as like an AI that's on like a little chip, and like it goes in the back of his helmet, and then she appears right to him, and she could talk to him, things like that. It's kind of in the show. It's kind of implanted in him, and she can project herself anywhere, and other people can see her as well. But the idea for her full mission is that she's actually supposed to take control of the Spartans.
Right.
She's supposed to control their movements and all that stuff, because it removes the human element, which they have fought for years, in training and stuff, to remove the human elements from Spartans. But like, obviously there's going to be just a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like supposed to be like that. And it also puts them on a very short leash because it's an AI that the UNSC thinks it can control.
Yeah.
At first I thought, it's kind of dumb. But then when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? It takes something that we're super familiar with, like it's like just, having the little AI on a chip, and it adds like a little bit of sinister to it, where it's like, as we know in the games, I mean, Cortana kind of goes off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first AI of its kind in this universe. Cortana is the first AI of this kind. We see tons of them all the time. So why wouldn't it be kind of like based on some grease? And I kind of like that, actually.
Well, I've been told that like the whole Spartan program is greasy.
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah.
So like that's not something new the TV show did.
Do you remember the pet thing?
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all right. I don't mind that.
It's something where it gets weird. It's like I don't like it, but I like that I don't like it.
But you also brought up like the UNSC is like the bad guys, or they're greasier than normal.
They're the villains, in my opinion. Like they're a legitimate villain. It feels like Master Chief is the hero, and everybody else is the villain. The Covenant's a villain. The UNSC is a villain, but the UNSC and Covenant just don't like each other.
Yeah, and I have a problem with that, and that's a larger problem I have with writers in Hollywood in general, of how they always love to take these big governmental, or I don't know what you would call it, big corporations or large organizations in positions of authority, and make them villainous or have shady underbellies or be evil or stuff like that. And maybe it's reflective of like the time we're living in, where like people just don't trust government. But then at the same time, it's like, well, all the content we consume constantly tells us not to trust government.
Right.
And I'm not saying you should trust government blindly, obviously, but it just feels like we don't live in a society where there is hope for the future, or we don't have dreams of the future anymore. Everything is dirty and gritty and dystopian, and nothing is aspirational. Nothing is here. Look at this society that we could achieve. It's now like, oh, that thing you thought was good, it's actually evil. There's some horrible person controlling all the strings, And I'm sick of that. I'm just tired of that. It's so predictable now. I'm just like, I roll my eyes at it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks too, because it's like a lot of the stuff that we watch like in real life now, watch or play or use or whatever. A lot of that stuff kind of comes out where it's like, oh, by the way, like that desk brand that you like, I'm just making this up. That desk brand you like, well, the guy who made it's actually like a huge controversial figure. And it's like, oh my God, like it's a freaking desk. Like I didn't do, 8 days and a police check, to check if I could buy this desk. Like I needed a desk, and it's just starting to get like a little bit. So when it's like portrayed in media frequently, it's a bit much sometimes. Like it's a bit too real or something.
Well, I just think it's overdone. I just and even Star Trek, which is supposed to have that utopian vision of the future, even they keep doing this, where Starfleet's evil, Starfleet's actually bad. All these admirals are trying to do something horrible. You know, they're not living by Starfleet values. They want to kill all these people or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my god, you know, we can't have anything to dream about. It's getting ridiculous.
Man, if Amazon brings back Stargate and they freaking make the SGC evil, I'm gonna be fucking pissed
They're
off.
probably going to, Matt. They're probably going to.
Damn it!
I'll take a Panzo bet on that, Matt.
No, now hang on. Before we do a Panzo bet, because I'm willing to do a Panzo bet, but I want to give some background here. In Stargate, because you've watched some in Stargate, the government does have like some corruptibility to it. So basically, what it is it's like the SGC itself is trying to do good, but that doesn't mean that the people pulling the strings of the SGC, which is the American government, is. So they actually have episodes where they just like have, you know, arguments and situations where they're pushing back against governments or institutions that are outside the SGC that are like, no, like let us run it. No, let's change that. No, don't do that way. Don't help those people. Who gives a crap? And then the SGC is like, well, we're going to go help those people.
Okay, that makes things more difficult.
Right, because it's like there's already an evil bit. So would they make them both evil? I mean, if they do that, then the show's doomed. I'm to say that.
No, I don't think they'll ever make the heroes evil per se, because that's usually the one thing where it's like Master Chief is fighting against the UNSC, right? He's the good guy fighting against the evil big giant military corporation.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Like Master Chief is still like he's the top of the hero chain in this.
Yeah, but I almost feel like you can actually relate this to it's like whenever they have a movie where they take away like the Enterprise, right? Either blows up or they don't have access to it or something. Or in Mission Impossible, it's like, oh, you lost like you have to go rogue because you can no longer use the resources of the IMF or whatever. Like that's also a very kind of lazy way to tell a story in my mind.
Right.
Because like you obviously need like some sort of struggle or controversy to create a story, right? And it's so easy for them to fall on, let's take away all of this guy's resources. He can't make a mask anymore to impersonate someone. You know, he doesn't have all his gadgets. Now what's he going to do? The stakes are higher now. And I'm just like, well, no, I want to see him use those things.
Yeah, he's a spy, or like in John Wick's case, he's an assassin. Like, don't make it so that he has no weapons.
Show me a Star Trek movie where they're using the Enterprise to go fight the bad guys.
Right, yeah, no, yeah, it's a good point.
Don't blow it up or take it away somehow. You know, tell another story where they're using the Enterprise. And so I think that's related to like, you know, making the evil government be evil. It's an easy way to make conflict to tell a story, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, our foundation, like obviously the foundation of Star Trek is Starfleet, right? That's where all the ships are built and all the rest of it, or who builds them and all that. It's like, oh, our foundational like reasons why we're here and what gave us all this equipment is actually bad. What are we gonna do about that?
Yeah. So that's my rant. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, final story for the week. Assassin's Creed Shadows crosses 1 million players on launch day, according to Ubisoft. This comes from IGN. The game released on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Mac on March 20th. I added that. On March 20th. And just before 4 p.m. in Canada, Ubisoft took to social media to say it had crossed the 1 million player mark. Quote, it's not even 4 p.m. here in Canada, and Assassin's Creed Shadows has already passed 1 million players. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining this adventure in feudal Japan. We are beyond excited to start this journey with you. End quote. While 1 million players on launch is an impressive achievement, it's difficult to gauge success when Ubisoft itself hasn't offered a sales figure or indeed a sales target. What we do know is that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the top-selling video game globally on Steam right now. Valve's chart sorts products by revenue, so we can say Ubisoft's game is currently bringing in more money than any other on the platform. We also have early days Steam concurrent figures. According to official stats from Valve's platform, Assassin's Creed Shadows hit a peak player concurrent figure of 41,412 on Steam on launch day. Assassin's Creed Shadows released on a Thursday, so it is expected that the figure will grow as we head into the game's first weekend on sale. We'll have a better picture of this performance on Steam next week and in the weeks ahead. Neither Sony nor Microsoft make player numbers public. For context, BioWare's single-player RPG Dragon Age the Veilguard launched on Steam on Thursday, October 31st, 2024, and saw a peak of 70,414 players on Valve's platform. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is a pretty high number. Like, it's higher than I thought it would be for Dragon Age.
And not only that, like I think we can kind of assume the Dragon Age sales were not what EA wanted.
Right.
But that's higher. That 70,000 number is higher than the 41,000 that Assassin's Creed just got. That's
well, I'm just pulling this up live here. Well, I'm pulling this up live here from SteamDB.
Mm-hmm.
And so SteamDB this is for Dragon Age Veilguard, the Veilguard. Again, SteamDB. So we're months out, but an all-time peak happened 4 months ago, and that peak was 89,418.
That was for Dragon Age?
That's for Dragon Age. That's for Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Okay.
Now, one thing I do want to kind of highlight here is that it has 38,000 reviews, and it's currently at a 69% out of 100%. Okay. Now, if I go back and I go to, again, this is on SteamDB.
That's about right, though. A 7 out of 10 for Dragon Age?
Right. But this game has better. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows, again, SteamDB, all-time peak happened 11 hours ago. Remember, this game is fresh off the old launching train, I guess. Mm-hmm. 47,616. So, a lesser peak. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's more players right now, and there's more players in the 24-hour peak because this game just came out. But the thing I wanted to point out was that there's less reviews. There's 5,000. However, it is at a 79.96%. So the reason why I wanted to mention that is because this game's been mired in controversy from every, political angle, gaming angle. I'm not going to get into all that. But this game has been really into the controversy, and so has Dragon Age. Reviews can absolutely change. This game seems to be currently, meaning Assassin's Creed Shadows is currently holding a high, like an A, effectively, right? Like, this is basically 80%. This is still at an A status. Whereas, in terms of our, academic system, whereas Dragon Age, the Veilguard, 69%, we're looking at a C+.
Right.
So maybe this game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, going into the weekend, will see more players and will hold out with the reviews, even though it's been mired in controversy the same way the Dragon Age Veilguard has, which could mean good news. Like, people may see through the nonsense. We may see people streaming it or things like that, influencers pushing it, whether it's through sponsorships or literally just playing it and people wanting to play it themselves. Because I will say, I'm not going to play this because I still have friggin' Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I'm scared to start, to be honest.
No, you got a Black Flag you got to play.
I'm not playing that game. Although I do have it on Switch now. It came in a pack with Assassin's Creed Rogue. But anyway, I think that this game might have a fighting chance.
I mean, I would have figured that. Now, we don't know lifetime sales yet, but I would have figured that Assassin's Creed would have been more popular than Dragon Age.
Well, what's the...
But maybe not.
What do you call it? What's the last Assassin's Creed? Is that Valhalla?
Mirage.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to start with Valhalla, then I'll go to Mirage.
That is a more smaller title, though.
Well, okay, let's give you perspective. So, what do you think the all-time peak... So remember, 47.6K approximately, all-time peak currently for Shadows. What do you think the all-time peak is for Valhalla? And then I'll grab Mirage as well.
Oh, man. I'm going to say actually more, I think. I'm going to say like 50 to 60,000.
Unbelievably less. 15,600.
What? That's what?
15,679 for the all-time peak achieved 2.3 years ago, according to SteamDB.
Oh, now here's something to think about, though.
Where it was launched?
Yeah, because Star Wars Outlaws was launched on Ubisoft only and later came to Steam and then never had good numbers on Steam.
Right. Because anyone who wanted to rush out and get it would just get it wherever.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can look that up at all.
Well, here's Mirage. Was Mirage a simultaneous release? Do you remember?
I can't remember, no, because I bought it on PlayStation.
Well, Mirage was even worse. 7,870 all-time peak.
Wow.
Now, this was achieved 5 months ago. I mean, the game kind of got pretty lukewarm reviews, which is why, 6,000 reviews and it's 73.23%. So I think the numbers for Shadows, having not done an in-depth analysis, having just looked and discussed here, I think that the game has a fighting chance to like fight through a lot of the controversy and actually do okay. I will say that this is very preliminary. I'm not doing a full data set of like checking and stuff like that, but I would say that that's a pretty good number for Steam. When a lot of people are going to go to Ubisoft launcher, Ubisoft Connect, or whatever the heck they call it these days, and a lot of people are also going to play on console. Like there's a lot more than the 70, some odd thousand that we saw on Steam. Like there's a lot more places to play this thing. Or sorry, the 47,000 than we saw. You know what I mean? Like Steam is one drop in the bucket here.
Yeah. So I just asked Copilot, when did Assassin's Creed Valhalla launch on Steam? It says it launched on Steam December 6th, 2022. It marked Ubisoft's official return to the platform after initially releasing the game on other storefronts like the Ubisoft Connect and Epic Games Store. So it originally launched November 10th, 2020, and didn't come to Steam until 2022.
Oh, wow. So Mirage is not doing good.
Well, I don't know if Mirage had a simultaneous launch either.
But Mirage is also like what, a year old? Like it was last year's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Let me check Mirage here.
This is a, I don't know. This is still, to me, this is still promising. And I'm not necessarily rooting for this game either. Like again, like I'm so far behind in my Assassin's Creed. I mean, I say that I'm like technically one game behind, but holy crap, is Valhalla a game and a half?
Okay, same with Mirage. It launched it officially launched 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come to Steam until 2024.
Oh wow, okay, I didn't know Mirage was a couple years old. Okay, never mind then.
So that does skew those numbers a bit because obviously, when it comes to Steam, it's not like everyone's going to treat it like launch day and buy it there.
Right.
So I guess that is a good number for them then on Steam at least.
Yeah, because people are going to buy it on Ubisoft launcher. Like, there's going to be people that buy this thing anywhere it's for sale.
That must feel a little sad though when you think your games are good enough to pull people from Steam to your launcher and they're just kind of not. You know what I mean? I'm sure there was a thinking in Ubisoft's heads, like in the executives, that people love Assassin's Creed. They'll go to the Ubisoft store if we make it exclusive to the Ubisoft store, right?
Right.
And yet they had to come crawling back to Steam.
Well, one thing that kind of sucks too is I feel like this is like befallen many games.
Yeah.
Where I mean, I say it sucks, but I do get it. Like a lot of people on PC, and I'm kind of one of them, not really with game launchers, but with software running on my PC, is I kind of want one or two pieces of software running. Like, so for example, like I use mostly SteelSeries equipment because I don't want to have like something for like software for my mouse, a software for my keyboard, a software for my headset, a software for my microphone, like I'll use a couple. Like I'm using not a SteelSeries mic, I'm using an Elgato mic, and I have a Stream deck and things like that. But I'm basically like either SteelSeries or Elgato. I don't have like a Corsair mouse. I don't have a Corsair this, all the rest of it. I didn't even install the proprietary drivers for my webcam. I'm just using the Windows ones, the Microsoft ones, because I just don't want to deal with all this nonsense. And so like I kind of do get it, where people are like, I built my game collection on Steam. I don't want to have like an Epic account, an Xbox account, this or that. It's like, no, I'm on Steam. That's where I'm sitting. And I get that.
Ironically, Matt, I just pulled up Threads and someone actually posted all the numbers for Steam on launch.
Okay.
Now take this with a grain of salt. I have not checked these numbers, but he's listing in order of the highest number of players. So Odyssey was number 1 on Steam with 62,000 players.
Yep.
AC Shadows is second with 47,000. So their latest game is almost as good as their best game.
Okay.
After that is Origins, which had 41,000, and then Black Flag, which is pretty old at this point. So 16,000. And then you get into like the weird ones like Valhalla, where they didn't launch on the same day. So
yeah, those ones are definitely skewed then.
But so putting it in perspective of their other games that launch day and date on Steam, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Odyssey rocks. So that's understandable that that's the number 1.
It was the refined version. The first refined version of the new form factor.
Yeah, that's right. And then they went too big with Valhalla.
Oh God, man, I was so pumped when I watched those trailers. I'm so scared. I'm playing friggin' Valhalla for the next 4.5 years. Holy frig!
All right, Matt. Let's move on to what we're playing. Take it away.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla? No.
You're not playing that.
No, I'm always playing it because I will always be playing it because it never ends. No, I haven't even started it. Actually, this week I haven't really. I don't think I touched Stalker too much this
Oh
week.
wow.
I do that though. Like I've been enjoying this game just sort of like when I want to pick it up, and so if I don't feel like kind of rushing into a session, I just won't.
Yeah.
But I mean, weirdly, I started up Fallout 76 again to try the new Ghoul update. So I started a new character, and I started with so basically when you come out of the vault now, you can choose to be level 20. They'll give you some goodies and some loadout and stuff. I chose that, and then it also said, hey, if you have the atoms, which is like 1,200 atoms or something like that, you can spend those and become level 50, and you need to become level 50 to be a ghoul. So I didn't want to change my existing character. I have a character where I have like over 1,000 hours in. I didn't not want to do that. So I, again, created this new character, did the boost to 50, ultimately, and then I went immediately and went and did the ghoul quest. So the last thing I did was become a ghoul successfully. I'm now in sort of like the ghoul town. And so now I'm going to start like building a build with the ghoul character. So I don't know much about it yet. There was something cool where I went outside, and as radiation started hitting me, like an extra health bar went on top of my health bars, like a shield, which was kind of cool. So I don't know how long that lasts or how all that works. Some perk cards don't work anymore. Some perk cards do work for ghouls exclusively. Again, some don't. And then if you want to, I don't know how perfect this disguise is, but some factions don't like ghouls. The Brotherhood does not like ghouls. A lot of humans do not like ghouls. So you can actually go back to the ghoul town. I found it kind of interesting. You had to go back there though, but you go and talk to like the salon person, like the person that does like the barbershop, whatever. And she'll set you up with a disguise. It like kind of wraps your face and everything fully so that you just look like a wastelander covered in sort of like a leather gear. And then you can pretend that you're a human. I wonder how long that's going to stick. Like, I wonder, like personally, how long people are going to like put up with having to go back to the ghoul town to get your disguise. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a patch in the future where you can like make your own disguise and it's just an apparel item and you can put the apparel on or off. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But for the time being, I'm a ghoul right now. I'm just going to be, kind of playing it casually on the side. I'm not really, super into the season or anything, at least not at this point. But if I get more into it, then I will be likely resubscribing to Fallout first because the game is much easier to play when you have that. So there's that. But one thing that's kind of cool, though, is I've been streaming this game. This game needs a lot of open space on your hard drive in order to update. And I always like had trouble where it was like I would end up deleting the game and then just re-downloading it because it would re-download with the patch and then that would work. And I'd unfortunately obviously have to delete and wait again. Whereas just a straight update wouldn't work. So I was like, you know what? This is an online game anyway. I may as well just stream it. I have PlayStation Plus Premium. So I just did that and it worked pretty good. I was saying to you guys that it felt like it was running better than I remember it on my PS4, but not like my PS5. My PS5 was running a lot of sections at like 60 FPS. That wasn't the case here. I've never had a PS4 Pro, but because it's like better than the PS4, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a PS4 Pro that it was quote unquote running on in the cloud, or maybe like a PS4 with an SSD or something like that.
Right.
Something along those lines where the pop in really wasn't there, but the frame rate was dipping like pretty consistently. But I'm going to be honest, this is a Fallout game. I don't really care. Like it I don't know if you would like it, Ryan. Like it is definitely blurry sometimes and stuff, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm a ghoul now. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing casually at this point. So there's that. And then I've also been, what the heck else was I playing? Oh, I played a bit of Icarus this week again. We've pushed into the snow region. The snow region fucking sucks. It's really fucking hard. And we made an absolute disaster of ourselves. So we made all this preparation and stuff. We built a base out there. It's really, really difficult to survive. We start getting familiar with surviving out there. Okay. Start getting some resources from the region. Sounds good. Okay, well, there's some unique resources and some unique missions that you can do in this snow area. So we're like, all right, we familiarized ourselves. Let's go do those. And when we went to go do those, we activated 2 or 3 of them simultaneously. That was a big mistakey. Very big mistakey. Basically, in no uncertain terms, we summoned, like, we've never seen a snow leopard before. and then we saw one during one part of one mission. Our horses were parked near where we started these missions. About 50 creatures came out of the woods. They ripped my horse to shreds. They ripped my buddy's horse to shreds. And then they ripped me and my buddy to shreds.
Oh my God.
So we loaded from backup because I know people will be like, oh, you should just, I don't care. I'm not a hardcore survival game thing. I'm going to load from backup and I'm going to park my horse in another place. And I'm not going to activate multiple objectives at the same time because they were all in the same area. And what we think happened was it summoned hordes for each of the activities.
Mm-hmm.
And we got absolutely friggin' destroyed. So yeah, don't do that if you're playing Icarus. But other than that, we were doing something else, right? We did a bit of keep on to say Monster Hunter. That's right. Yeah, we were playing Monster Hunter. I actually did a little bit after the stream with Tim last week as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did a bit of that. Then we played Monster Hunter, all three of us. We played a bit of that. And then we were playing whatever that Orcs Must Die. We were playing Orcs Must Die Death Trap as well. And then other than that, I've just been on my PSP a little bit. I've been playing Need for Speed, ridiculous name. Need for Speed Most Wanted 310. That's the one I've been playing. And I started a new game, and I'm going to try that out. And that's it. That's been my week.
For myself, just a couple things. Apart from like Overwatch, which like just added the new season didn't just start. I think we're like mid-season right now, but big La Seraphim K-pop crossover right now. But the big games I've been playing is Avowed and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I've been playing on my Mac, and I did end up buying the PlayStation version too, Matt.
Wait, you bought the Mac and the PlayStation version of Assassin's Creed Shadows?
Yeah.
Holy.
And I could play them, you know, they have Ubisoft Connect now, so it's like the save just worked. Like I booted it up I first played it on my Mac and then I booted it up on my console and it ran like nothing had happened. So that was nice. Didn't have to do anything, didn't have to download or upload saves or anything. It just worked. It was great.
How does that work, or does it with the PlayStation backup system?
That probably has its own, right? So there's probably like a, you know, quote unquote local. Well, I guess there's a local save, there's a cloud save for PlayStation, but then in the game itself, it'll upload the save to Ubisoft Connect, and then that just automatically gets downloaded wherever else I play it, as long as my accounts are linked, right? That's
pretty nice. I do like swapping. I do play Stalker on both, and like it is
Swapping's
nice.
Fantastic. It's. I never thought I would actually do it, but I've been doing it too. I played Indiana Jones both on my Xbox and my PC, and I've been doing the same with Avowed. It's great.
I do it specifically because I do not want to always be at my computer. Like I work at my computer, and sometimes I'm just like, man, I don't want to sit in this chair anymore.
Yeah. And Avowed has been actually very enjoyable. I'm surprised that it hasn't gotten more talk. I don't know how their sales are doing, although we did hear that Microsoft said that they were happy with the sales, but I mean, you never really know what that means. I'm having a blast with it. It's one of those games where it's like I've heard like some people didn't like it, and I'm kind of like scratching my head as to what they didn't like about it. And maybe I'm kind of thinking too loosely about it because I'm just thinking like if I was playing this in high school, I would have loved it. It would have been awesome, and it is awesome, you know.
Well, you did mention like to me off air that there is some details that they like no justice system. You can't hurt people in towns and stuff. Vital, no. Weird to exclude in this day and age. Yes.
It is. It's kind of immersion breaking when you can just run into like a bar and just start grabbing everything. Just grabbing
weird.
Coins off the table, just grabbing like swords that are like lying around and like, you know, fruit out of baskets and stuff, and no one does anything. It is a bit weird, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not like I'm gonna like spit on the game because of it. So
like give that a try in like any Bethesda game, even like Starfield, and people are gonna be friggin' opening up. Like they're gonna start shooting you and you start stealing their gold and stuff.
So in that sense, I think you even mentioned that it feels a little less quality to you. Which I can see that, but it more feels old school to me rather than less quality. And I know Oblivion is old and there's a whole morality system in there or whatever, but it just feels like an older kind of game. And maybe that has to do with it being more of a smaller RPG and not some massive 300-hour RPG.
Right.
But yeah, I'm having fun with it so far. I've been doing a wizard build and shooting spells at stuff. It's kind of hard because I am smushy. I'm very squishy. I have a spell that gives me some protection, but I got to do a lot of dodging and stuff. So
You know what I found with like those, I don't know, I don't want to say those type of games, but personally I'm just a fan of towns. And
hmm
so those shortcomings, I guess you could call it, again, like it's whatever, it's subjective, but um those shortcomings, like, to me, are gonna be like a fairly large negative. Like,
right.
one of the strengths of Oblivion is, like, obviously has like your justice system and stuff like that, but I do like how each of the towns, like, really has its own feeling. Like, it's like Leowen feels like a coastal town, and the Imperial City is very impressive, things like that. And it just, if it is a lesser quality thing to me. Like, I mean, we were talking, and I mean, heck, there was a fairly advanced justice system in Two Worlds back in the day.
hmm
Like, there would even be times where you could, like, if you were friendly with the guards, you could just bribe them away and stuff like that. Heck, you could just kill somebody sometimes, and if you were good enough rep, they'd be like, "What have you done here?" And he's like, "Hey, don't look over here." And he's like, "You're right, I wasn't over here." And he's kind of walks away.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I mean, who knows what led to the decisions for them not to include that? Maybe it was time, or maybe it wasn't just part of the vision they wanted for that game. I don't know. Because it is Obsidian, who did do New Vegas, right? So they're not. It's not like they're unfamiliar with that kind of system. But I
Yeah,
don't
because
recall if Outer Worlds had it or not.
that's actually exactly what I was going to ask you, because I think you've played it, right? I was going to say,
Yeah,
like, did Outer Worlds have that or not? I've never played
I
Outer Worlds.
I want to say no, but I'm not sure. I don't actually know.
I guess Borderlands doesn't either, but Borderlands does have weak towns, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're pretty much useless.
Which, I don't know what it is. There's something, like, so rewarding about, like, going out and adventuring for a while, and then being like, the town is like your safe haven, and it's super cool and it's orderly, and you feel like you feel safe there against other people and stuff. Like, there's
Mhm.
something, like, valuable to that in me, where for me, where it's like it's a contrast, like a very steep contrast from the outside to the inside of the walls, let's say. And then it's
Right.
like, when the inside of the walls sucks, it's like, man, this really ain't a refuge. This place friggin' sucks.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, Matt.
That's all you've been doing.
Yep.
No, oh, you did, but you were overwatching. I saw you yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, and just real quick, I mean, AC Shadows is good so far. I'm enjoying it, and it looks pretty damn gorgeous on a PS5. If you want good visuals, don't play it on Mac like I've been doing, but on PS5 it is pretty damn good looking.
Wait, so it looks bad on your Mac?
It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Is that because of your Mac, or is that because of the version? Like, they held it back?
From I've seen some other people kind of talk about this online. I think it was Snazzy Labs, and then what's the other tech guy, Austin Evans. They
Oh,
both kind
yeah.
of talked about how it might be a bad port.
Oh, shoot.
Um, and one of the problems is the minimum spec they list is an M1 chip. But if you play the Assassin's Creed Shadows on an M1 like MacBook Air that doesn't have active cooling, which it says it supports, you
Oh,
can actually
no.
run the game on the M1 Mac. Um, it's like 11 FPS and just not good.
Oh, my
So
God. Yeah, that's like, I mean, I would say unplayable. I mean, some people might be able to do it, but holy crap.
I'm playing it on a 16-inch MacBook Pro that has an M2 Max chip and 32 gigs of RAM. Um, and it's running fine. It runs at 30 FPS. All the versions that are in the spec sheet they released are 30 FPS versions. Um,
Okay.
so even like the latest chips, or the highest end Apple Silicon chips, it's still running at 30 FPS and at 1080. There are a few 1440 versions, but I don't have a chip powerful enough for that. So it's an interesting experiment. I'm having this is more of like a hobby to me. Mac gaming is more of a hobby, something to kind of keep an eye on. Is basically what I'm doing.
Well, no, it almost sounds like, I mean, this is one title, but it almost sounds like maybe they're trying to capture the console simplicity on a Mac, because Macs are
Yeah.
often, like, kind of called, like, or praised for being simple, straight to the point, go in there, get your job done, get out. Meanwhile, Windows, you might be kind of like smacking it like an old CRT TV to kind of get it to do what you want a little bit. That's kind of at least that's the reputation that those two OSs have. And I
hmm
kind of wonder whether, like, they're trying to be like, yeah, you just plug and play. Like, well, I don't even know how many settings that you can set. Can you set settings? Because it's like, is there just like,
there's settings.
Do you like select I'm on an M1 and it just does it? Or like,
No, I just ran it with whatever default. So it would have auto detected the hardware and then set to whatever defaults, right? I didn't even dig into that kind of stuff. I just kind of ran it what it was at. Um, the frustration I have with it is like I really wish, and there's no money in this. That's the biggest problem because Macs aren't known for gaming. People don't game on Macs. It's not a normal thing for people to do. They're not selling millions of copies of it on Mac, right? But it would just be nice to see a game built from the ground up for Apple Silicon.
Right.
And I wish either Apple would pay a studio to do that or buy a studio to make exclusive Mac games, AAA Mac games, right? I think that would be a very interesting test, and I don't think we've actually seen that. They're all ports, from an x86 or whatever version. So
That's a good point. Is that I wouldn't be surprised, especially since like obviously porting can have like there's going to be bad ports even with popular systems, but the Mac is not the most popular gaming system. So like how many
very few resources there,
right? And like how many good tools are there even to port really?
Yeah,
so.
Apple did release that like preview software where it's like you could take your x86 game for Windows and it will just run on Mac, and you can actually get like a baseline performance preview before you actually do the porting. And so I think a lot of studios are actually doing that, trying to dip their toes in the water. A bunch of these Resident Evil games are on Mac now, like the newer ones too, not just older titles.
Right.
So, and they run fine. They run pretty nicely on my MacBook. So it's possible, and those games look good. The RE engine's really nice looking. So, but
I was gonna say the RE8, like when you were streaming that looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice. All right. You can catch us streaming either Monster Hunter or Orcs Must Die on Wednesdays, twitch.tv/DamonPatchMedia. And then I'll be hopping on every now and then playing Assassin's Creed Shadows on my Mac and streaming that. So if you want to kind of take a look at what it looks like, you can join me there. But that'll just be random.
We're almost affiliate.
Hit that subscribe and keep that notification on if you want to see me playing that.
Hit that follow, actually.
Oh, sorry, not subscribe. That's not the correct lingo for Twitch. Yes. Follow us and then make sure that bell is active. All right. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you guys next time.
Hey, yo, peace.